friends. So today we are going to continue reading chapter 6. We already read chapters 1 through 5, and in it we introduce Roscoe, who seems like he's a little crazy little kid. Got a great personality though. And anyway, so never glue your friends to chairs. And so what he did was he was bringing in art supplies, and he brought in this special glue that's permanent glue. It's called Super Mega Gonzo glue. And anyway, so now we have to figure out what happens when he gets to school. When we left off at chapter 5, his mom was hanging from the roof, and he was just about to bring this glue to school. All right, chapter 6, the secret handshake. When I got to my classroom, my friends Gus and Emma ran over to say hello. The first thing we did was our secret handshake. Here is how it goes, in case you'd like to try it. Scream each other's names, wait for the teacher to say, "Inside voices, please." Do a high five, do a low five, stick out your tongue, get all serious and say, "How do you do, Mr. Riley?" Of course, you would not say Riley, probably. It would be pretty amazing if we had the same last name. Emma pointed to my elbows. Cool sparkle Band-Aids, Roscoe. I mostly always have a Band-Aid on me somewhere, or a cast, or a sling. Mom says to think of it all as a fashion statement. When I was 4, I even had an eye patch. The patch was all black. Totally pirate. How'd you get the Band-Aids? Gus asked. Racing my Hot Wheels cars down the stairs, I said. The Hot Wheels one. Household accidents are the most common cause of injuries in children, said Emma. Emma teaches me lots of interesting facts. She was born in China. Her parents adopted her when she was a baby. I wish I was born in China instead of just Kalamazoo. Gus teaches me lots of useful things too. Just last week, he showed me how to make armpit farts. Yep, armpit farts. What's in the bag, Roscoe? Emma asked. Art stuff for Miss Diz, I said. I opened the bag. Gus and Emma peeked inside. Cool head, Gus said. Her name was Drusilla, I said, before I brain surgery'd her. Super Mega Gonzo glue, Gus said. Whoa, my mom won't even let me near that stuff. Me either, said Emma. Me either, I said, but I figured Miss Diz could use it for when we break stuff. Let's go show her what I brought. Miss Diz was busy stapling butterfly pictures to the bulletin board. Miss Diz isn't really her name, but her real name is hard to say. It uses maybe like half the alphabet. So she cut off the N from my class. Maybe when I'm a grown-up, I'll be called Mr. Rye for short. Or not. I handed Miss Diz the bag of art supplies. This is for you, I said. And there's Miss Diz, and there's Roscoe giving her the art supplies. It's for the art cupboard. There's a special glue in there, and I even included a free head. Miss Diz frowned. What kind of head, Roscoe? Just a doll head. I smiled so she wouldn't worry. Since Miss Diz is new, she gets mixed up sometimes. I try to help her out whenever I can. After all, I was in kindergarten last year, so I already know everything there is to know about school. For example, when Miss Diz forgot the janitor's name, I remembered it was Mr. McGeely. She had to call him when Gus threw up his ravioli after lunch. Sometimes Miss Diz looks pretty pooped by the end of the day. I hope she doesn't decide to go into another line of work. My kindergarten teacher did that. It wasn't my fault. Probably. Although, I think maybe she got a little frustrated when I painted the class hamsters green because it was St. Patrick's Day. Hamsters like to look pretty perky for the holidays. Miss Diz checked her watch. Class, she said with a loud voice. Then she put a finger on her lips. That means shh. I know you're all excited about the open house today, said Miss Diz. We're going to have a dress rehearsal first thing this morning. Dress rehearsal is when you practice with costumes and stuff. It doesn't mean you have to wear a dress. Whew. Let's just hope things go a little better than they did yesterday, Miss Diz said with a laugh. I'm sure today we'll all be on our best behavior. Poor old brand new Miss Diz. I think maybe she forgot about our high spirits. Okay, so chapter 7, mess rehearsal. We can only imagine how this is going to go. First, I want all you bees to put on your antennae, said Miss Diz. Real bees use their head baubles to smell and feel things. But ours were just made of pipe cleaners and styrofoam balls with glitter on them. They were attached to a plastic headband thingy shaped like a great big upside down U. Last year, the third graders used the baubles for a play about butterflies. So the headbands were a little stretched out by their gigantic third grade heads. When we were ready, Miss Diz went to the music cupboard. She handed each drummer 2 red tapping sticks. We use the sticks for music time. They are our instruments. Only, really, I would rather have a drum set or a tuba. I know how much fun the sticks are, children, said Miss Diz, but as you may recall, some of you got a little carried away yesterday. I think maybe she was looking at me. But I wasn't the only one who got in stick trouble. Gus was the one who started to pretend to sword fight. I was not guilty. Mostly. Our rhythm section sits in the chairs, said Miss Diz. Nice and still. That was me and Gus and Dewan and Maria and Coco. All the other bees in the back row, said Miss Diz, standing up nice and tall. We got into our places, bees and bee drummers, baubles and sticks. We were ready for action. Okay, let's sing nice and clear, said Miss Diz, and no poking with the sticks. How about swords? Dewan asked. No swords, said Miss Diz. How about death rays? Gus asked. No death rays, said Miss Diz. When I count to 3, start singing. Here is how our bee song goes. Fuzzy bees, look at us fly. Bees are the best bugs, you want to know why. We make our own honey and soar in the sky. Can you do what we do? We dare you to try. And that's why Mrs. Ekobachi teaches music and not me. Ha. Great job, said, even Mookie went away. Great job, said Miss Diz. When we were done, Roscoe, you sound especially wonderful, but we need to hear the other kids too. He's blowing out my eardrums, Miss Diz, Coco complained. My head bubbles keep falling off, Wyatt said. Miss Diz took a deep breath. I know the antennae don't fit very well, children. Just do the best you can. Let's try the song one more time. This time, let me hear those sticks pounding out the rhythm. We sang again. I was not so loud this time. But if you ask me, they were missing out. Better, said Miss Diz when we were done. My baubles keep falling in my eyes, Hassan said. Oh, this is Roscoe singing. Oh dear, said Miss Diz. Maybe we should just forget about the antennae. But we have to have baubles, Coco cried. Otherwise, how will our parents know that we're bees? You make a good point, Coco. Hassan, bring me your antennae, said Miss Diz. Maybe I can tighten them up a little. While Miss Diz worked on Hassan's baubles, Maria started tapping her sticks. Dewan tapped along. Gus tapped too. On my head. Children, said Miss Diz. She was still trying to fix Hassan's bubbles. No tapping, please. We sat and waited. While we sat there, I came up with a new invention. I put the rhythm sticks in my mouth. I made them point straight down. Ta-da! Walrus teeth! I think when I grow up, I may be a famous inventor. Or else an ice cream truck driver. Dewan and Gus laughed at my walrus teeth. Maria put her sticks on her head. She just looked like an alien. Even more people laughed. Gus put his sticks up his nose. He just looked gross. Pretty soon we were all tapping and laughing and being walruses and aliens. Except Gus. He just kept the sticks in his nose. Children, said Miss Diz loudly, but we couldn't even hear her very well. What with all the tapping and laughing? Gus held up one of his nose sticks. I challenge you to a duel, he cried. Yuck, said Coco. I jumped on my chair. So did Gus. You can't sword fight sitting down. We sort of forgot about the no sword fighting rule. Uh-oh, friends, what's gonna happen? I know, I'm a little scared for them. They're gonna get in some big trouble. Roscoe, Gus, children, Miss Diz held up her hand and put a finger to her lips. Quiet down now. We got very quiet. Gus and I froze in our chairs. Miss Diz pointed to the doorway. Mr. Goose Garden was standing there. He is the principal. That's the big boss of the school. He is mostly nice. Unless you've been making bad choices, then you have to sit in his office and think about your behavior. When that happens, Mr. Goose Garden wears his I mean business face. And right now, Mr. Goose Garden had on his I really mean business face. Oh, friends. All right, so that takes us to the end of chapter 7. We're gonna stop right there. So I'm really curious. Things aren't going very well for their dress rehearsal. I'm wondering, when is he gonna do the whole chair gluing thing? Like, I don't know. I can't wait to read on and find out more. Okay, until next time.